The Forgotten Colony. The wind howled across the desolate plains of Meridian 9, a planet that had long been forgotten by most of humanity. Zara Novak pulled her environmental suit tighter, her breath fogging the transparent helmet as she surveyed the barren landscape. Her research expedition had uncovered something far more significant than the standard xenobiological samples she'd been sent to collect. In the distance, the massive processing towers of the Dominion's mining complex cast long shadows across the rocky terrain. Those towers represented more than just industrial might, they were symbols of systematic oppression that had crushed entire civilizations beneath their metallic weight. Zara's comm device crackled to life. "Dr. Novak, you're approaching Restricted Zone C-12. Return to base immediately." The monotone voice of the Dominion's control system carried a clear threat of consequences. She ignored the warning. The readings from her handheld scanner told a story the Dominion wanted to keep hidden. Trace biological signatures that didn't match any known environmental database. Radiation patterns that suggested something, or someone, had survived where no life should exist. A sudden movement caught her eye. Not the windswept debris typical of Meridian 9's desolate surface, but a deliberate, almost cautious shift in the rocky outcropping about 200 meters to her left. "I know you're there," Zara spoke quietly, switching her comm to an open, low-frequency band. "I'm not here to cause harm." Silence answered her. But not the empty silence of a dead planet, this was the calculated quiet of something watching, waiting. Her hand instinctively moved to the plasma cutter on her belt. Standard xenobiologist equipment, but also a potent defensive tool if needed. The Dominion didn't send researchers to explore, they sent controlled agents to confirm their narratives of planetary conquest. A voice responded, so low it was almost a vibration rather than sound. "You are different from the others." The language was unlike anything in her extensive linguistic database. Yet, somehow, she understood perfectly. Translation software? No. Something more primal was at work. An ancient, weathered figure emerged from a camouflaged entrance in the rocky terrain. Humanoid, but distinctly alien. Skin like burnished copper, etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change with each movement. Eyes that held centuries of knowledge and profound sorrow. "I am Krell," the figure said. "Last keeper of the Solara memory." Zara's scientific mind raced. The Solara, a species mentioned in fragmentary historical records, supposedly eradicated generations ago during the Dominion's expansion across the galactic frontier. Every official report claimed total extinction. But here stood living proof of their survival. "The Dominion believes you're gone," Zara said carefully. "Why reveal yourself now?" Krell's laugh was a brittle, painful sound. "Survival is not the same as living. We have hidden. Waiting. Watching." Before Zara could respond, a distant alarm split the air. Dominion patrol shuttles, sleek, predatory machines designed for rapid response and ruthless enforcement, were converging on her position. "They've tracked me," she realized aloud. "No," Krell corrected. "They've been tracking me. You are merely an unexpected variable." The first shuttle dropped from the sky, its weaponry charging with a menacing hum. Commander Vex's voice erupted over the general communication channel. "Unauthorized xenobiological research vessel, you are in direct violation of Dominion Exploration Statute 7 Gamma. Prepare for immediate detainment and processing." Zara looked at Krell. The elder's eyes held no fear, only a deep, burning determination that transcended individual survival. "We have a choice," Krell said. "Hide. Or fight." In that moment, on a forgotten planet at the edge of explored space, the first spark of resistance began to glow. The shuttles were closing in. The Dominion's perfect, controlled narrative was about to encounter something it had never anticipated. Humanity's unexpected capacity for defiance. And the Solara's long-buried hope. Unbroken resistance. The underground sanctuary was nothing like Zara had imagined. What appeared from the surface to be a simple network of cave systems was, in reality, a sophisticated hidden civilization. Bioluminescent crystals cast a soft blue-green light across intricate living spaces carved directly into the planet's rocky interior. "How long have you been here?" Zara asked, her fingers tracing the delicate circuitry embedded in the cave walls. The technology was unlike anything in human or Dominion archives, organic, adaptive, almost alive. Krell moved with the careful grace of someone carrying centuries of memory. "We have waited. Watching. Learning." He gestured to a massive holographic display that seemed to pulse with living information. "The Dominion believes in total destruction. But survival is more complex than they understand." The hologram flickered, revealing fragmented histories. Zara saw glimpses of the Solaris past, a civilization of incredible complexity, reduced to hidden fragments by systematic extermination. Entire cities compressed into these underground networks, generations preserved through cunning and resilience. "Commander Vex will be hunting me," Zara said, checking the quantum-encrypted communicator on her wrist. "My research expedition will be considered compromised." A younger Solara, introduced as Ren, approached. Unlike Krell's weathered appearance, Ren moved with a coiled energy of potential rebellion. "The Dominion hunts what it fears," Ren said. "And right now, they fear you more than us." The implications were clear. By discovering the Solara, Zara had become a threat to the Dominion's carefully constructed narrative of complete planetary conquest. Krell brought forward an ancient data crystal, its surface shifting with microscopic patterns. "Our history is not what the Dominion records suggest. We were not simply a civilization to be conquered. We were architects of adaptive technologies that could have changed everything." The hologram shifted, showing breathtaking landscapes of a world before the Dominion's arrival. Cities that grew like living organisms, technology that worked in perfect harmony with the natural environment. Each image was a stark contrast to the barren, stripped world of Meridian 9 that Zara knew. "Why show me this?" Zara asked. Ren's response was direct. "Because humans are different. You question. You resist. The Dominion sees conquest as an endpoint. We see it as a challenge." A warning system embedded in the cave walls began to pulse, a soft, rhythmic warning. Dominion scout ships were scanning the surface, their sensor arrays cutting through layers of rock and electromagnetic interference. "They're looking for me," Zara realized. "And for you." Krell's laugh was dry, almost sardonic. "Let them look. We have been invisible for generations. Our invisibility is our strength." But something had changed. The discovery wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about reclaiming a narrative, about proving that extinction was not the end of their story. Ren activated a holographic display showing Dominion communication networks. "We've been collecting their data for decades. Every transmission, every strategic plan. We know their weaknesses." Zara understood the unspoken invitation. This was more than a revelation of a hidden civilization. This was the beginning of something larger. A potential resistance that combined the Solara's deep technological knowledge with human unpredictability. "What do you need from me?" she asked. Krell's eyes, filled with centuries of wisdom, met hers. "Everything. And nothing. Your presence alone has changed the equation." Outside, Dominion scanners continued their relentless sweep. Inside the hidden sanctuary, the first threads of a resistance began to weave themselves into something powerful. The forgotten were about to be remembered. And the Dominion had no idea what was coming. The watershed moment. The quantum resonance chamber hummed with potential energy. Zara watched in awe as Ren manipulated holographic interfaces that seemed to bend the very fabric of technological understanding. What had begun as a scientific discovery was rapidly transforming into something far more dangerous to the Dominion. "Our ancestors didn't just build technology," Ren explained, fingers dancing across luminescent control points. "They created living systems that could adapt, resist, transform." Krell approached, his aged form contrasting with the vibrant technological landscape around them. The Dominion's greatest weakness is their belief in absolute control. They see technology as a tool of subjugation. We see it as a living organism. The chamber's central core began to pulse, a rhythmic beat that seemed more like a heartbeat than mechanical operation. Zara's scientific training warred with the inexplicable evidence before her. This wasn't just advanced technology. This was something entirely beyond human or Dominion comprehension. A proximity alarm triggered, its soft blue light cutting through the sanctuary's ambient illumination. Commander Vex was closing in. They've tracked the quantum signatures, Zara warned, her fingers flying across a portable scanning device. We have less than 30 minutes before a full Dominion assault team arrives. Ren's response was calm, almost anticipatory. Good. We've been waiting. The plan was audacious. The Solara had been collecting Dominion communication protocols, military strategies, and technological blueprints for generations. What appeared to be a hidden, defeated civilization was actually a meticulously prepared resistance network. The resonance chamber is more than a weapon, Krell explained. It's a key. A way to broadcast a signal that will disrupt the Dominion's entire communication and control infrastructure. Zara understood the implications. This wasn't just about survival. This was about liberation. Outside, the first Dominion assault shuttles began to breach the planet's atmosphere. Their sleek, predatory designs cut through clouds like blades, advanced weapon systems charging. Commander Vex's voice crackled through encrypted channels. Unauthorized xenobiological research subject. Unidentified alien life forms. Prepare for immediate containment and processing. Inside the sanctuary, Ren made a final adjustment. The quantum resonance chamber began to vibrate, its energy building to a crescendo that seemed to make reality itself ripple. Everything the Dominion believes about control is about to change, Ren said quietly. Zara felt a connection she couldn't explain. This wasn't just a scientific mission anymore. This was a moment of cosmic significance. The first Dominion assault teams breached the underground sanctuary's outer defenses. Energy weapons carved through reinforced geological layers. But something was different. Each barrier they destroyed seemed to pulse with a living resistance, adapting, redirecting, fighting back. Now, Krell said simply. The quantum resonance chamber erupted. Not with destruction, but with something far more profound. A wave of energy that wasn't just technological, it was informational, evolutionary. Dominion communication networks began to collapse. Not through destruction, but through transformation. Their rigid, control-based systems were being rewritten, adapted, fundamentally changed. Commander Vex's final transmission was a mixture of rage and incomprehension. What are you doing? What are you? Then silence. As the energy wave spread, something remarkable happened. The barren surface of Meridian 9 began to change. Dormant ecosystems awakened. Crystalline structures that had been suppressed for generations burst into life. Zara looked at Krell and Ren. They were smiling. We didn't just resist, Ren said. We evolved. The Dominion had come to eradicate. Instead, they had catalyzed a transformation beyond their comprehension. The Forgotten were not just surviving. They were reclaiming their future. And humanity had just become an unexpected ally in a revolution that would change everything. Rebellion's dawn. The aftermath of the quantum resonance event transformed Meridian 9 into a battleground of unprecedented complexity. What had once been a dead planet now pulsed with emerging life and technological rebellion. Zara stood at the observation point of the Solara's underground command center, watching holographic displays that tracked the Dominion's disintegrating control networks. Ren worked beside her, fingers dancing across interfaces that seemed to breathe and shift with living intelligence. They're sending reinforcement fleets, Zara observed, her voice a mixture of scientific detachment and growing excitement. But each wave of ships is being transformed before they can even enter the system. Krell approached, his weathered form a testament to generations of hidden resistance. Not destroyed, he corrected. Repurposed. Our technology doesn't eliminate, it adapts. The holographic displays showed Dominion warships being systematically neutralized. But this wasn't destruction. Hulls were being rewritten, systems recalibrated. Crews found themselves suddenly disconnected from the rigid command structures that had defined their entire existence. We're seeing something unprecedented, Wren explained. Every Dominion system is being rewritten with a fundamental code of cooperation rather than control. A new transmission cut through the command center. It was from one of the Dominion ships, but the tone was different. Confused. Questioning. We can't connect to Central Command, the transmission stuttered. Our navigation systems are showing alternative routes. Humanitarian corridors. Zara exchanged a look with Krell. This was more than a rebellion. This was a fundamental reimagining of systemic oppression. Outside, the planet itself seemed to be awakening. Dormant ecosystems that had been suppressed for generations began to emerge. Crystalline structures burst from rocky terrain, creating intricate networks that looked like living circuitry. The Dominion's greatest mistake, Krell said, was believing that control was the ultimate form of power. Adaptation is true strength. A new challenge emerged. Not all Dominion forces would accept transformation. Commander Vex, the primary antagonist, was gathering a last-ditch resistance force. He'll try to destroy what he can't control, Zara predicted. Wren activated a series of defensive protocols. The planet itself seemed to respond, geological formations shifting, creating natural barriers, redirecting incoming assault vectors. We're not just defending, Wren explained. We're demonstrating an entirely new approach to existence. The first wave of Vex assault ships approached. But something was different. As they entered the system, their weapon systems began to recalibrate. Offensive capabilities were being systematically transformed into communication and resource-sharing protocols. Zara watched in amazement as warships designed for destruction began to link together, sharing resources, exchanging information. The very technology of war was being rewritten into a technology of understanding. "This is impossible," she whispered. Krell's laugh was soft, filled with centuries of hidden wisdom. Impossible is just a failure of imagination. Commander Vex's final transmission was a mixture of rage and incomprehension. You cannot change the fundamental nature of control. The response came not from the Solara, but from the transformed Dominion ships themselves. Control is an illusion. Cooperation is survival. As the battle continued, it became clear this was more than a conflict. This was a fundamental transformation of how intelligent species could interact. The Solara weren't just resisting. They were teaching. And humanity, through Zara, had become an unexpected catalyst for this cosmic revolution. The rebellion had begun. But its true victory would be measured not in destruction, but in understanding. Redemption and renewal. The transformed landscape of Meridian 9 told a story of rebirth. Where once there had been barren rock and suppressed potential, now intricate ecosystems flourished. Crystal formations that were part technology, part living organisms stretched across the planet's surface like neural networks. Zara stood with Krell and Wren at the central observation point, watching as the last remnants of the Dominion's control structure dissolved. It wasn't destruction they were witnessing, but evolution. We never sought to eliminate, Krell explained, his aged hands tracing holographic displays that showed the planet's transformation. We sought to remind. Wren approached with a data crystal, its surface shifting with microscopic patterns of light. The Dominion ships that survived are now part of something larger. They're not prisoners. They're participants. The communication networks they had rewritten weren't just technological interventions. They were fundamental reimaginings of connection, of purpose. Zara understood now what the Solara had been protecting all along. It wasn't just a civilization. It was a concept. The idea that survival wasn't about domination, but about mutual adaptation. A transmission came through from one of the transformed Dominion vessels. The captain's voice was different, no longer rigid with hierarchical command, but filled with a sense of wonder. "We're receiving data streams from planetary ecosystems we've never understood," the captain reported. "Our entire concept of exploration is changing." The quantum resonance chamber that had been their primary weapon was now a beacon of transformation. It didn't destroy. It translated. It found common ground where before there had been only conflict. Commander Vex, the last holdout of the old system, had been neutralized not through violence, but through complete systemic recalibration. His ship now served as a research vessel, its weapons systems converted into environmental monitoring equipment. "Humans have always been adaptable," Krell said, watching Zara. "But adaptability without empathy is just another form of control." Ren brought up a holographic display showing the expanding network. Planets that had once been considered conquered were now becoming collaborative zones. Not through force, but through a radical reimagining of interaction. "We're creating a new language," Ren explained. "Not of words, but of systems. Of understanding." The first human Solara collaborative research teams were already forming. Not as conquerors or even allies, but as participants in a larger cosmic dialogue. Zara realized their discovery was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a philosophical revolution. "What happens now?" she asked Krell. The elder's eyes, filled with centuries of hidden knowledge, sparkled with something that looked like hope. "Now," he said, "we begin." As the twin suns of Meridian 9 set, casting the transformed landscape in hues of gold and crystal, something profound became clear. The greatest act of resistance wasn't destruction. It was creation. The forgotten had not just survived. They had reimagined possibility itself. And humanity had been invited to join the conversation. The echoes of defiance had become a symphony of renewal.